joining us today. It is a real privilege to have Jeremy back in Plymouth.
Thank you, Argyle, for letting us be here today. And I've already been bribed with a lovely gift. Michael Foot's shirt. Thanks a lot for coming, and thank you for the support you're giving to Labour, because gaining the council here in Plymouth will be a very, very important step forward. Not just for, obviously, the people of Plymouth, but it'll be a step forward for the whole message across the southwest, that Labour is a party that does represent every part of the UK. And so, a plan for the southwest centres around investment, around infrastructure, around social values. So it would be a Labour government with a National Investment Bank dedicated towards each region that would be investing in a complete upgrade of the rail system all the way to the south. It would not stop at Exeter. We're challenging very fundamentally what this Tory government is about. 2010 they came into office jointly with the Liberal Democrats. Don't forget the Liberal Democrats. What was the first thing they did? Slashed the welfare budget. What was the next thing they did? Cut tax at the top. What was the next thing they did? Cut spending on local government. Imposed austerity. Austerity on the people of this country. And what has the result of 8 years of austerity been? More people sleeping on our streets. Larger classes in our schools. Longer housing waiting lists. Longer NHS waiting lists. Lower levels of wages than there were 10 years ago, and in many cases falling wages, frozen wages in the public sector, and a massive loss of jobs amongst council workers, amongst the police service, the fire service, the ambulance service, all the key things that matter in our society. Every council that's applied for funding, including Plymouth, to have the cladding removed and retrofit sprinklers has had that request turned down by the government. I tell you what, a Labour government would do things very, very differently. We would fund it very clear on behalf of the Labour Party. We will end austerity. We will charge more in corporation tax and tax for the very richest, but we will also invest, and we will also bring those natural public monopolies like mail, rail and water into public ownership. So of the next Labour government. A national education service on the principle that education is a human right, not a privilege.
Yeah.
Michael Foot fought and won a parliamentary seat from Plymouth. He fought it on the principle of the National Health Service. Labour's whole post-war message was the principle of the National Health Service. Healthcare as a human right, free at the point of need for everyone. It transformed people's lives. And the National Health Service is our proudest possession, and we will defend it to the end. Yeah. And this year, on this anniversary year, we defend it even more strongly than ever before. And I want to have an education service that does the same. And that starts at the very beginning. A child growing up in a comfortable home with a good income coming in, you can pretty well work out what their life chances are going to be from the day that they're born. A child growing up in an overcrowded, damp, insecure, private rented flat that their parents might be thrown out of in 6 months' time to go and look for another damp, overcrowded, private rented flat. Parents with a low income trying to survive, using food banks in order to feed their children. You can pretty well work out that the life chances of that child are not likely to be as good as the other. We all know that. So, we deal with those issues. We deal with those issues by a living wage. We deal with those issues by investment in housing. We deal with those issues by ensuring that every child, irrespective of parental income, gets a nursery place to go to from the age of 2 for 30 hours per week. And also, I'm utterly determined to ensure that the incoming Labour government does introduce the pupil arts premium to ensure that every child in every school gets the chance to learn. Being a skilled electrician, a skilled plumber, a skilled engineer is just as valuable in our society as being a skilled doctor or a skilled lawyer. Give the recognition and the esteem to those that work in whatever way they work, that are training to achieve the best in our society. A society needs doctors, needs nurses, needs engineers, needs scientists, needs electricians, needs plumbers, needs carpenters, needs cabinet makers. It needs all these trades. Treat them fairly and treat them properly. But don't penalise young people for wanting to go to college, wanting to go to university, and don't saddle them with 50k of debts because they've worked hard enough to get a degree. Human beings are naturally inquisitive, creative, imaginative people. That's what we want to develop in our people and in our population. So the Labour offer, come the general election, is about the economy, is about the health service, is about social justice, is about the kind of education service that we want. Go online, register, and be part of it. This is modern, creative, inclusive, and something the Daily Mail doesn't understand at all. I want a world of justice, and I want a world of human rights. I want us to play our part in assisting people when they're going through a humanitarian crisis, as people have from Plymouth down the years, as they want to do if the frigates and marines were there to help in hurricanes, disaster relief, saving refugees' lives in the Mediterranean. But it's also about a government that would be serious about not selling arms to Saudi Arabia while it's bombing Yemen. Listen, I say this to Donald Trump, even with all his towers and all his money, climate change, global warming, rising sea levels, loss of ecosystems will affect him too, just like it will affect every single one of us in this room. We really do have to recognise the collective nature of environmental protection and put it into all our policies, as has been done in the Plymouth Labour Manifesto. So Plymouth will play its part in being a city of recycling, of preservation of green spaces, of preservation of the natural world and the natural environment. And well done, Plymouth Labour, on including that. So we say to the people of Plymouth, if you want a council that is serious about building houses, getting houses built for social rent with lifetime tenancies, if you're serious about a council that will operate like Labour councils should, making sure they're using their powers of purchasing to insist on decent working conditions in the supply chain, including living wage. If you're serious about a council that will look after you and will demand from central government money to protect those living in high-rise blocks, that will stand up for our fire and rescue services and our ambulance services, that will play its part in ensuring the mental health service is properly funded, not left underfunded, and so many people living through a crisis. If you want a council that represents all of the people of Plymouth, and you reject the divisive, nasty policies that UKIP have put forward in the past, then I urge you to vote Labour on May the 3rd. A Labour government would not continue with austerity, which widens the gap between the richest and the poorest. We would be ashamed to have people sleeping on the streets of our cities in the 5th richest country in the world. I want to thank you all for inviting me. Thank all the people all across the South West that have worked so hard for Labour for so many years, and say that our party represents every part of Britain. Our party is a party of the South West, is one of social justice and equality, is one of absolute determination to deliver for the people of this country. I'm proud to be here today in Plymouth, proud of the work you're doing, and look forward to a great win on May the 3rd. Let's go for it! Let's go to Labour Council! Let's go to Labour Council!